Warriors, aren't you tired of hearing about Twitter? Because I am. I really don't want to hear about it anymore. It's only been what, 36 hours, maybe? I don't even know. I feel like I've been hearing about it forever. The only thing I want to hear about with Twitter is what is Elon Musk and Twitter going to be doing about CSAM, child sexual abuse material, not child pornography, which a lot of people call these abuses, these crimes against our children. It is called CSAM, child sexual abuse material. That is a more descriptive, uh, meaning for what is very visible on Twitter. Right now, we have the escalation and proliferation of this child sexual abuse material on Twitter. We have many pending lawsuits from parents with their children who have either been the victims from predators, images exchanged. We also have lawsuits with children who have committed suicide because images were retweeted. I haven't heard a word about it. So the only thing I want to hear about now is not the 44 billion, not the Tesla, not the censorship, not the anything. I want to hear about the CSAM. I want to hear about the censorship of that CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So I want to start with that, Warriors, and bring that to your attention. So be on the lookout for that. I'll keep you posted. But I haven't heard anybody talking about this at all. Today was Warrior Wednesday on WVOX radio here in New York. And I had a very interesting guest who is doing terrific work, Josh Golan. Josh is the executive director of Fair Play for Kids. And I urge all of you to go to the website, fairplayforkids.org, because May 2nd through 8th is Screen Free Week. What does that mean? Screen Free Week. You might remember years ago, we had something called Turn Off the TV or Turn Off the TV Week or something like that. But now, of course, we don't have TVs. We have screens on our phones and all of our digital devices. Josh actually began his career in entertainment with Miramax, the movie company, if you remember that company, and was working on a movie. He shared the story with us, Spy Kids. I remember Spy Kids, big movie at the time, 20 years ago. And I'm giving you a little background about Josh because I want you to find out how he created Fair Kids and Fair Play for Kids. I'm sorry. And Josh was working on Spy Kids, big blockbuster, and they had incorporated. It was one of the first movies where they started really selling advertising to the kids, and they did a campaign with McDonald's. And so you remember all these toys that were coming out of movies and sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. And he thought to himself, why would I want to promote food that is actually not good for children, to children during a children's movie? So, you know what, Warriors? Some good came out of this. He formed Fair Play for Kids, and they are an independent organization, really one of the only leading independent organizations working to create media responsibility, alerting us as to what is going on, and make it fair, for kids and families, that we don't have to deal with all of this. They did campaigns such as, I'll mention a recent one because they've had many successes. Within the last year, Facebook had announced that they were going to create an Instagram for kids. I don't know if you remember that one, 13 and under, because right now Instagram is supposed to be for 13 and above. And, Facebook and Instagram are the same company. They try to call themselves Meta now, META. They've rebranded, but I still call them Facebook. And there was such an outcry within 24 hours because the Instagram now, kids are signing on, checking off a box, and getting involved in all sorts of things with the predators. Remember, where the predators are, so are the children, and where the children are, so are the predators. Oh, Warriors, there's so much to talk about. The outcry, all of a sudden, Instagram announced, Facebook, parent company, we're going to put a pause on this for now. Now, I learned from Josh today that the pause is pretty real. They will not be reinstituting, because, they say they're putting a pause on something, these big tech companies, and then fast forward a year later, and they just slip it right in. They're back in business. So you can see, warriors, there's so much going on with all these big tech companies right now. We started out the day with what I will call a breaking hearing on Capitol Hill. It was put together, it was announced towards the very end of last week. And I'll just break it down and make it very simple for you. It was a House Judiciary. That's a mouthful after a long day, which is chaired by my favorite Congressman Jerry Nadler, who actually represents me here in New York City. And all of the correspondence I have with him, he calls me Dear Ashna, Ashna, although I've corrected his office many times. Dear Ashna. Can't even get my name straight. Then there's Chuck Schumer. I know I'm digressing, warriors, but you must hear this. Chuck Schumer's office calls me Dr. Shaw. That's a nice title, but I am not a doctor, nor do I pretend to be one. I've corrected their office several times. I am not getting any response, except I'm still called Dr. Shaw. Carolyn Maloney, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, who also represents here in New York, calls me Barbara. So all of my correspondence is Barbara. So you know what, warriors? I don't have a lot of faith and hope when they can't even get my name straight, and they represent me, and I've corrected them numerous times. So getting back to this hearing this morning, it was an emergency hearing, oversight committee on the federal government on plans for human trafficking, protection of victims, and also enforcing laws. Now, this 2-hour and approximately 40-minute hearing included survivors, included law enforcement, included experts to speak out about this. Now, I had a sneaking feeling, I'll just leave it at that, knowing what I know, knowing what I work on, that this hearing somehow was going to be really directed towards labor trafficking. And lo and behold, I kind of was right. I will take anything that will raise awareness and get the words human trafficking, forced labor, protection of our children, sextortion, internet safety. I'll take anything that mentions any of that, because every little bit helps. As long as we reach one person a day, that is the motto of the warriors. We have done our job. So they had the hearing, and lo and behold, it's sort of geared off into what is going to be happening at the border, which you all know, Title 42 will be lifted in the coming weeks, perhaps, and the influx of illegals on our borders will be astronomical. My concern is for everybody, of course, but my concern is for the children being trafficked that really few are talking about, if any. And when these children arrive here, where are they going? Where are they being brought? Because this hearing this morning pointed out that approximately 20,000 sponsors they cannot track. That means these kids are delivered. We know, we've seen here in New York that Westchester Airport is a hot spot where planes land at all hours during the middle of the night, early morning. We know in New Jersey, Morristown Airport, airplanes are landing. People report they can see out their bedroom windows these planes flying low in the middle of the night. They were tracked. Two buses were tracked a couple of weeks ago. Now remember, this is federal government, so local law enforcement is told hands off, let it go, and can't do anything about it, federal government. But I'm still not understanding this whole story. However, we did have a couple of people track a few weeks ago, a couple of buses down the New Jersey Turnpike, that one went into a rest stop in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, where children got off the bus and were picked up by waiting adults who were taking 4 to 5 children each. So today on Capitol Hill, we had an emergency hearing where they admitted they have lost track of 20,000 of these sponsors. Unbelievable, warriors. Who's taking these kids? Where are these kids going? I don't know. I know a lot are being shipped upstate New York. Don't know. And it's tough to even imagine because I mean, I just don't know. I sit here before you. I know it's late at night now on Wednesday, April 27th. And I'm thinking, like, where are these kids? Why is nobody reporting seeing them? We don't know. So I'm trying to find out. But we do know that children are being sent alone. Just the other day, Border Patrol found a 7-year-old alone with a 3-year-old. Brothers, they were told their parents let them go over the border. The 7-year-old was put in charge of the 3-year-old. Now, come on, these are babies. Who knows what happened to them along the way? So we have that going on. So I want to commend to you that it's tough. It's tough to get something new on your agenda when we have all of this happening. But you must. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. With that, I am going to say one of the largest abusers of our children is the internet. It is the number one predator, I believe, to our children. There is a terrific article. I want everybody, I have been talking about this since last December 7th, when our U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, Dr. Vivek Murthy, put out what he called a rare advisory, what I call an alarming report, a 53-page report about our youth mental health. And I keep talking about it and talking about it. Our youth mental health in the United States was not good before COVID. And this report outlines what happened in addition during COVID. And now, fast forward a few months, what is going on right now with our youth mental health? We know approximately, and I'm rounding things off, I'm not going to bore you with stats and all that stuff that are exact, but we know in a year, our youth mental health has deteriorated about 60%. 60%. We know that children showing up in the emergency rooms under 18 for suicide attempts or ideation, we know that 40% of them are ages 11 and under. Did you hear me, warriors? 11 and under. Okay. So we've got that going on. We have a crisis that must be addressed, not just talked about. You need to look for indicators in your children: anxiety, depression, changes in sleeping and eating patterns, hiding away in their bedrooms on devices. I know everybody's tired and overwhelmed, but it's not great that the kids are, in their bedrooms alone for hours and hours, not bothering you. You have to address it. You have to know what they're doing. I would recommend no devices in any bedrooms of any kind, including phones, including laptops, Chromebooks, any of that, right? You want them in more of a public space. And there is a terrific article I want all of you to read in the April 23rd New York Times edition. It is called It's Life or Death, the Mental Health Crisis Among U.S. Teens. It is everything I am talking about. It is very well written by Pulitzer Prize winner Matt Richtel, Richtel, April 23rd, New York Times, okay? It is full of information. It is well vetted, studies for you. A story of a girl, they just use the initial M because she's a child, starting at age 11, and how she escalated into, spiraled out of control, okay? And we're seeing so many adults spiral out of control. I mean, who can blame the kids on top of everything? The isolation from COVID, the great unknown we've all been through, the masking, unmasking, in-person activities canceled, school, all of that stuff. So, of course, the kids turn to their phones and computers and stuff to communicate with others. And we know, again, let me remind you, wherever the predators are, so are the children. Wherever the children are, so are the predators. A disturbing article also came out from MIT yesterday, stating that the United States is the biggest, the biggest host of child sexual abuse material. Again, that's CSAM, CSAM, online than any other country. Approximately 30% of the URLs are right here in the United States. Now, I knew about this because we had an emergency meeting last month with a report issued from associates in Washington, a good report. This is the only article I've seen about it. We know not only does the United States host the largest amount of URLs connected to CSAM, child sexual abuse material, the United States is also the biggest consumer of CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So what is going on here, warriors? Why aren't, and I heard this, I was talking to somebody over the last 2 weeks, and he is a definite warrior in New Jersey. And we are organizing and getting out there with churches and different community groups and schools. And again, COVID kept us down, but now we're coming out and we're organizing, putting things together and programs for the fall for the schools. And he's like, why aren't people out in the streets screaming? And I said, I know. And the other thing he keeps reporting back to me, which I also hear constantly, that doesn't happen here. It happens in other countries. Well, warriors, I am here to tell you that I am passionate. I am working on this because I am strong enough to educate all of you and bring you the information that this is an American crisis, that this is bigger than the drug trade, that this is a criminal enterprise. This is organized crime. This is the number one business of gangs now across the United States. Long Island, big problem with gangs, MS-13. And you know what? Human trafficking, top of their list. So what does this all mean? When there's money to be made, more people will be trafficked. Perhaps your child or grandchild, and we cannot have that. We need to have education. So we have to get over this. That happens in other countries because it's happening in every city, state, and rural area in America. And don't you think for a moment that a nude image online is not a form of human trafficking? Because think of it as anything that travels. That is human trafficking. An image, a sexual dialogue, human trafficking. Okay? I want you all to be aware of this. We need to protect our children. We need to educate first ourselves and then communicate and come together with the kids. So you have some homework. I want all of you to read It's Life or Death. And that is not a drastic title. This is The Truth Warriors, the mental health crisis among U.S. teens, April 23rd edition, New York Times. The author is Matt Richtel. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning author who has done extensive research, lays it all out for you. The second piece of homework always is to watch, and it's free, Childhood 2movie.com. Childhood, the number 2, movie.com. Childhood 2.0. Real parents, real kids coming together to discuss the digital landscape. I'm urging all of you. It's free. This will give you an idea. There's a trailer, about 2.5 minutes. If you like the trailer, and I know you all will, you will watch the complete documentary. That documentary is about 30 minutes long. Please, Childhood, number 2, childhood2movie.com. That's that. Now, let's get back to Screen Free Week. That is next week, Monday, May 2nd through the 8th. If you try it for 1 hour, I've been suggesting this lately, put down those devices, talk to the kids. I don't care. Do some artwork, just talk, bake, go for a walk, go for a bicycle ride, go for a car ride, do something else. Do it together. Put down the devices. If you do it for an hour, if you do it for a day, a week is a big deal, but if you can do it, because we know from doing this in the past that once kids get over the first couple of days, they enjoy so much spending time with their parents or family members that they want to continue doing it. It's just getting through the first couple of days where they get used to this. Screen Free Week, May 2 through 8. Go to fairplayforkids.org. Learn about some of the activities you can participate in, some great ideas, everything from picnics to painting, back to basics, warriors. What do we have left? We have swung so far in the opposite direction. Our children are the product. We have to swing back. So again, I don't want to hear, Twitter and this and that, because frankly, I don't care about any of that because our children are being harmed each second I sit here and talk to you. I want you to stay tuned to the Warriors. Did you sign up for my newsletter? Every week, go to linswarriors.org, scroll down to the right, sign up. A lot of great information. And I'll leave you with tomorrow night, the 28th, there is a wonderful webinar from our good friends, allies, our partners, World Without Exploitation Youth. And they do tremendous advocacy work, boots on the ground, adore them. Young people coming together with the older ones like me, and everybody's a warrior. So if you go to worldwithoutexploitation.org, worldwithoutexploitation.org, sign up for the April 28th webinar beginning at 6 p.m. One of my favorite subjects that I'm always railing about behind the scenes, the role of the media, Hollywood, social media, and sexualizing our children, normalizing it. What's their responsibility? It's a form of human trafficking because they're using force, coercion, all kinds of things going on there. So I want to hear you. I want you to join these young people and watch this and learn some information. Or if you have teens in the house, it might be great to watch together. I can't, promote World Without Exploitation Youth enough because they get the work done. And with that, we're going next May 10th, the week after next. We are going up to Albany to do a little of our magic, okay? Because we do not want the Warriors, along with many other organizations here in New York. Remember, these are bipartisan issues, belong to no political party. We all come together, and we truly do come together. We do not want the full decrim of the sex trade. We want partial decrim. We want those that are exploited, those that are prostituted, to be afforded exit strategies and services and get out of that life should they want. However, we want to hold responsible pimps, traffickers, brothel owners, sex buyers, those who cause harm. But there's a tremendous push for this full decrim in New York. And, they tried to slip it right in Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago. And they announced it on their slate, on their agenda 2 days before that it was happening. And you know what, warriors? We came together. We had survivor advocates go up to Rhode Island. We had written testimony provided to the hearing. And you know what? This is a piece of good news. It was struck down. They thought they would sneak that in there in Rhode Island. Failed, and failed. Did I tell you it failed? Failed for the full decrim of the sex trade in Rhode Island. Now they are percolating behind the scenes for quite some time now here in New York. Pre-COVID, then we had COVID, held everything up. They're getting back into it. Well, you know what? We're not going to be having any of that. We're not going to be allowing that because remember, supply and demand, money, lots of money will be made. They need product. The product could be your children, your grandchildren. So they will traffic more people. We know the harms of the sex trade. It is not Pretty Woman. It is nothing glamorous. It is not body empowerment. The realities of what happens to anybody that is sexually exploited, human trafficked, are beyond what I can even describe to you. So warriors, you have a little bit of homework. I want you all always to go to linswarriors.org where I'll be updating all of these issues. I want all of you to be aware of what your kids are doing. And this is not any blame on anybody, warriors. Don't ever take it that way. This is about education. This is about engaging. This is about empowering you to know what's happening as I sit here, your chief warrior, and we'll let you know about laws and regulations. We're still working on our Earn It Act to hold big tech accountable. Do not forget to go to house.gov, senate.gov, find out who represents you, drop them a line and say, please support the Earn It Act. It is the best piece of legislation right now to address big tech and holding them accountable for allowing a platform like Twitter. This is why I'm so interested in Elon Musk buying, at least they tell us that, Twitter. What's happening to all these lawsuits? What's happening to the accountability? What's happening to the CSAM, child sexual abuse material I could see on there today if I go and look for it? I want to know. I want to know who's in charge here. I want to know who's taking it down. I want this to end, don't you? So, with that, I end with I want to thank you, warriors, for being so supportive of me, for being so supportive of what I am trying. I'm not going to say trying to accomplish what I am accomplishing. There's so much work to do. We cannot do this alone. We need all of you. Please consider a donation to Lynn's Warriors. The monies are used for our education program, which is expanding, and you'll see a lot more of it over the summer, beginning in the fall. We'll have a pilot program with teen ambassadors that we're working hard on, and we'll also always be giving money to survivors, because without their lived experiences and voices, I could not do this work. I haven't been trafficked. I haven't been sexually exploited. And they help me. They empower me. These are brave, brave, brave people. And I'll leave you with one thing. New York City, May 12th, Lifeway Network, our partner in safe houses, lifewaynetwork.org. Please go. We are having an event at the beautiful and historic University Club, 6 to, I think it's 6 to 8:30 at night, thereabouts. We will have survivors. I will be speaking. We will have empowerment. We will have celebration. We will have a silent auction. I'm getting a lot of goodies together for that. I've got everything going on. People are turning out, giving me things from beautiful fashions to baskets of tequila to beauty products to hair products, all kinds of things happening. And we're coming together after 2 years of being locked down to really celebrate. And of course, to raise money, because Safe House is one of the queens, one in the Bronx. The women keep these places. These are 2 safe houses for women, 18 and older. The women keep the houses beautiful. I mean, just beautiful and clean. But you know what? We want to update them. We want to make them a little cheerier. We want to keep everything going, because this program at Lifeway, why I'm so passionate is because it is the model that works. It is the model that is needed around the entire United States to get people and keep them out of trafficking, whether labor, whether sex, domestic violence. Also, remember, they all intersect, warriors. It is a program of true empowerment. It is psychological, it is medical, it is job training, education, getting somebody on their feet again. It works. And most of these women come back to help the other women traumatized. So it's got that whole snowball effect. And that's what works. And that's what's grassroots. And that is what we call warriors. Warriors take action. So I want to tell all of you, I want to thank you all for anything you do to help us, to help this movement, to help stop all of this predation, to protect our children today and every day. Be a warrior.